Hey everyone, welcome to my 2025 LEGO Star Wars Clone Army. LEGO released a lot of clone vehicles this year, and I got quite a bit of them, so there's been some new additions for the vehicles and the clone troopers from last year. Building a clone army has always been like a dream of mine ever since I was a kid, seeing other large YouTubers' gigantic clone armies. Now mine is nowhere in comparison to those, but it is growing, whether it's big or small, and I like making these annual, kind of updates or progress checks on my clone army. And, just even the ones that I have now, I couldn't even imagine having this much as a kid. So it is really, a great sight to look at. And it's very cool being able to, put all my Republic vehicles and clone troopers, in a layout to really see the full army. So without further ado, let me show you what's in my clone army. This is now over 2 years of collecting LEGO Star Wars, or at least the clone troopers, and I decided to include the Jedi here as well, which I didn't last year. I just wanted to add them as I've gotten pretty much every Jedi for their respective legions, so I was like, why not include them and spread them out through each section of the build rather than have, like just one leader or a couple of leaders at the front like I did last year. I wanted to switch it up just a little bit. So starting off here on this front table, there are 2 base plates with pretty much all the 501st clone troopers. So starting on the right one are the main regular 501st troopers with a total of 83 being led by Captain Rex and 5s. In the front here are 2 501st clone troopers that have some custom cloth pieces from the Cape Cantina. And then there's a couple of clone troopers throughout that also have some more cloth pieces, like these ones can hold some blaster rifles on their back. And then this clone trooper has a custom backpack. And if you do notice, some of the troopers do have some Sharpie on their arms. That was during a time where I tried to make some custom clones, a special task force. Never again. Definitely not a great look. So I'm not doing that ever again. And then behind them are the 501st Jet Troopers with a total of 25. And then over here, I have Anakin and Ahsoka leading the rest of the 501st and the 332nd. So on this other base plate are essentially the classes from Battlefront 2, starting with the 501st Heavies in the front. These 2 troopers on the right have a satchel, kind of making it a little bit more accurate to what they have in the game. There are a total of 24 Heavies, and then behind them are 12 officers and 14 specialists. And then at the very back are the 332nd with 9 regular ones and then 4 of the jetpack troopers. And then the last base plate consists of multiple clone legions. The 501st takes up most of my armies. Starting off in the front is the 187th Legion with Mace Windu leading. There are 3 of the commanders behind him. And then there are 12 troopers. This one also has custom cloth pieces from the Cape Cantina. And then some of them also have a arm printing that I got from Jonak Toys. I do not know if I pronounced that right. On the right are the new 327th Legion with Commander Bly and Ayla Secura leading. I do really like the newer physical pauldron piece. I think it works for them. With the new 327th troopers, it definitely is very cool to finally get a battle pack for them and to finally get Commander Bly. I do wish though that LEGO would stop printing the waist capes. Waist capes, the physical cloth piece, just elevates the minifigure and makes it look way better. One thing that has gotten better for clone troopers are the accessories, like the new rangefinder and the newer macro binocular piece that goes on the helmet. I do really like the mold. Maybe some printing would have been good just for some extra detail, but the mold does look good. And the rangefinder, I really do like the look of the new one. This is what the old one looked like for comparison. The old one that I just showed was not bad by any means. That one is still very good, but I do think that this new one just looks a little bit better and is an upgrade. And then behind are the 3 clone cadets that came in the gift with purchase for Jango Fett's Slave 1 UCS earlier this year. And they have dual molded leg printing, which just looks very awesome. The clone cadets were just very cool to get this year and were a perfect choice for a gift with purchase. The clone cadets are a very good addition to have. The 212th is led by Commander Cody and Obi-Wan Kenobi. This is the newer Obi-Wan minifigure that came with the V19 Torrent. It is such a phenomenal minifigure, and it's definitely one of my favorites with that good arm printing. There are 4 total troopers. One of them just has the regular LEGO helmet. The other 3 have the Clone Army Customs helmet, which looks very awesome. And then over here are clone pilots with Jag, Oddball, a Phase 2 clone pilot, and the newer Phase 1 clone pilot, which looks really good. And then there is one of the newer clone gunners. And then I really like the newer designs on the pilots as well. And the new Phase 1 clone pilot has a phenomenal new helmet mold, which just looks very good. And then in the very back are the Coruscant Guard with 8 troopers led by Commander Fox, and on the right side are just the regular Phase 2 clone troopers. There is a total of 21, and the 2 clone troopers in the front just have cloth pieces from the Cape Cantina. Now moving on to all the vehicles that are a part of this clone army. Starting with the biggest one, the UCS Venator. It is just such a phenomenal model, and is definitely my favorite LEGO build in my collection. Being able to display this beast next to all the other Republic vehicles is just so cool to see. In the front here is the newest ARC 170 that came out earlier this year, and the new V19 Torrent. I really do like this new design. Definitely smaller than the previous, but I think a lot more accurate looking and closer to minifigure scale. I think it is still a little too small, but I do like the detail and overall design. The ARC 170 is the same. I like the design. I do wish that it was a little bit bigger and that the laser cannons on each side were a little longer, but I think both look really good. And then here in the middle is the newest AT-RT that came in the 327th Battle Pack. I do like the detail and design. It's better than the 501st one, and definitely a little closer to minifigure scale, but still is too big. And then behind it are just two kind of swamp speeders, essentially, that came in the 332nd Battle Pack, even though they're on Mandalore, so they're kind of not swamp speeders, but they're of that same design. And then in the back is the Acclimator class assault ship. I really love the design. It's part of the Starship collection, so it's in the more smaller scale. I wanted to include it in the army. It's obviously not to scale with anything on this table, not even the UCS Venator, and obviously the Venator is not to scale either, but they are Republic vehicles in my collection, and both look very good. And then the last two builds in my Republic army is the Coruscant Guard gunship. Despite the flaws that the Coruscant Guard gunship has, you know, it is a little downsized. It's missing, you know, like the missiles up here, just any details and accessories. I do think that the newer design does look very good. I do eventually want a regular gunship, as I've never had one, but it was nice to get a gunship just in general. And then the Brick Vaults Custom ATTE. This is the first version that they made, and I just really love this design. It's one of my favorites in my collection, and it even has, you know, a full interior that can just fit a bunch of clone troopers in it. And it's just very detailed, and I just love being able to fit a lot of clones. After adding up all the clone troopers, there are a total of 231, which is just very cool to see. It's not, like I said, it's nothing too large compared to other clone armies out there, but this is the most that I've ever had, and I definitely do think that this is a growth from last year's, and it's just very cool that, you know, I want to keep growing this army, and I want to keep growing the vehicles as well. You know, I'm very glad that this year was a heavy Clone Wars year with a lot of new vehicles being made, like the V19 Torrent, the newer ARC 170. You know, I'm missing out on the turbo tank. It's not the best set, very overpriced, but I would like to get that turbo tank just in the future when it's on sale, as I've never had one, so I definitely do want a turbo tank eventually. It's just very cool being able to, you know, put my whole Republic army on display and, you know, really see how much I have. So I definitely want to keep growing this clone army, definitely get more troopers for the smaller legions that I have over here. You know, I have a ton of 501st troopers, but, you know, I definitely want to start growing more of my army over here. Definitely the 327th, though, you know, the newer battle pack is just way overpriced, so I'm going to wait for a sale to happen before buying a few more of those. The 212th Legion is still one that I'm waiting for LEGO to make another battle pack for. I think it's been a while. I think since 2014, I believe, and definitely want one so I can actually build up this army. The one thing that grew the most from last year's clone army was the Republic vehicles. All I had last year was the Venator, Coruscant Guard gunship, and the ATT, so it was nice to get some more clone vehicles, and also I'm glad that LEGO released more clone vehicles this year. I said this last year and I didn't really follow up on it, but I do want to get more of the Shock Troopers and regular Phase 2 Clone Troopers. Now that the Clone and Trooper battle pack has been out for more than a year now, it's on sale on Amazon, so that's every more reason to get more of those sets. So I definitely will aim to get a few more of those to grow this section of the army, and I really want to grow specifically the regular Phase 2 Clone Troopers. Another goal is I definitely want to get a few more V19 Torrents. I'm sure they will go on sale as well, as, you know, it's a little overpriced right now, and same with the ARC 170, maybe another Coruscant Guard gunship, but I do want to get multiples of, you know, these vehicles, especially for, you future, big mocks being able to include a lot of those vehicles for like clone bases or battles. Another thing, a slight difference, obviously I did get some more clones this year from the newer sets, but being able to, fill up these base plates, not leave many sections empty and put them in a, kind of fancy layout. Whereas last year I did do 4 base plates, and because I didn't have that many clone troopers and I've gotten more this year, it definitely looked a little bit empty on those base plates. So I definitely made the right choice by just decreasing it by 1 and just putting all the clone troopers on there to fill them out. Anyways, that is my 2025 Lego Star Wars clone army. I can't wait to keep growing this army and see what it is like next year in 2026, but definitely lightsaber slash that like button and hit subscribe with the bell on so you know when I upload. I hope you all have a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, peace.